Well, I am back, and I have to be honest, it's been a while since I got the butterflies to do a show. The butterflies are back. That's how long it feels like it's been since I've sat in this studio. Thank you all so much for your patience as I've been in Ukraine, just got back last night, and I'll give you all of the updates on that. The trip itself, I went to the front lines in Ukraine. We posted some stuff about it on the channel, but we took hundreds of hours of footage that we have to go through, interviews with Ukrainian soldiers, conversations with all different people, reviewing, witnessing firsthand just horrific tragedy, but also being inspired by the fight that people articulated. So maybe some in this show, but definitely over the coming days, I'll be explaining my experience there. It was the most terrifying experience of my life. And literally where I was staying, just blocks away, you could hear explosions happening, and we witnessed a huge missile attack and, people dying and all of that. And so for all of that to have happened, and then I'm thinking, all right, it's over. I'm getting back to Kyiv. And then from Kyiv, I was going to Poland to then fly back to the US. And as if to say, hey, you thought that you handled that trip well. Here's 12 more things to make you lose your mind. The trip back, which I'll get more into later, was so brutal. It was so brutal. I was waiting at a border checkpoint between Ukraine and Poland for 12 hours, sitting in a parked car. 12 hours. Then a lady with us, we get locked in this detainment room while they check our car, and this lady has a full mental breakdown in front of me and starts punching the door that was locked because we weren't allowed to leave yet. And I have slept less than less in the last week than in my entire life. And so just picture all that. I'll give you the whole rundown of that. I arrive back in Austin, get into the car, and I say, Jaden, what happened? What the hell happened in America since I was gone? For a lot of it, so that drones couldn't track me down and kill me, I had to shut off my phone. So I literally didn't know what was going on. And Jaden responds, oh, did you hear Trump is dead? Now you'll hear laughter because he's not dead. So that's the laughter part. Otherwise, even with Trump, I would not make light of someone's death. But I think he thought I had seen it already. I had seen that had been trending for days because Trump just vanished from public view, and the photos that people got looked really bad. I'll walk through all that in this segment. Just kind of here's what I missed. But I think Jaden said that tongue-in-cheek, thinking I had seen that it was a viral rumor, but assuming it wasn't true. But I hadn't seen that. So I was like, what? Really? Oh my gosh, that's huge. What the heck? What do we do? And he was like, no, that's trending. So let's walk through that now, because this is what I really picture that. The trip of a life-changing, really. And I honestly got home just so grateful to be alive. And then I'm told that while I was gone, there was this huge viral story. And here's CNN talking about it.
There's one other thing I have to bring up before the end of the show. In just a few hours, President Trump is touting an appearance for what the White House is calling a, quote, major announcement from the Oval Office. And that happens all the time. But here's the thing. This is the first public event after a weekend of speculation about Trump's health. At one point, the term Trump is dead was even trending on.
It's still trending as I'm recording this video.
Social media, not true. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to need to text my boss and let them know, I'm going to need the rest of the day off to process this.
That guy looks like my grandpa. He's got, this is not him.
Look at his body posture, his hands.
Yeah, so you get the point. People are speculating of the rare photo we got. Over days, there was no sighting of Trump, which is rare with Trump. Now, let me just warn you, I don't know what's going to happen. He's holding a big announcement. It feels like they're kind of trying to play it up. Big announcement in the Oval Office. And people are like, is he resigning? And let me just say, if you're getting your hopes up, no. Now, I could be wrong, but no, that's not what's happening. And we do have some information about what the announcement actually is. Probably by the time we publish this video, we'll have already seen what the big Oval Office announcement was, but I need to feel joy. I need to feel jubilance. And so even though we're talking about someone's health, and that is a very serious topic, and it's not making light of aging or health problems, because whatever he's suffering from millions of other people are suffering. So it's not to mock anybody, but just whatever we're talking about, I'm warning you. Even we're going to talk about some Ukraine things that are going to be the heaviest stuff ever. And I'm still going to try to be giggly because I need that. There's been 0 giggles over the last week, I can tell you. So I need to bring it back. I need it back. It feels so good to be back. This desk, it's so beautiful. Oh, and if you see this popping out of my ear, it's because, again, everything went wrong on the travels back. I get back to Austin. We go to my bag. We wait there for an hour. My bag didn't come to the baggage claim thing, which has a travel studio in it. So like stuff we use in here. And they say, oh, it's not in the city. They left it. So my big, huge bag with half of the clothes that I own, not really, and a bunch of very expensive studio equipment was left. And I think it was Houston. So that supposedly they're going to get it back to me, but I don't have the right earpiece because the earpiece was left in the back. We don't have the right camera. We can't do a side camera. You can put yourself up, Jaden, but Jaden can't speak because a mic is in that bag. We can't get the camera on Cole because the Cole's in the bag. I've slept 2 hours in a week, okay? Give me a break. So what's the story of this? Well, days ago, people started noticing Trump's just not present. Where is he? We haven't seen a photograph. We haven't seen him walking. We haven't seen him doing the jerk motion. We've seen none of it in days. What happened to him? And then a rare photo was snapped where he doesn't look particularly well.
What the hell happened to
Trump? Guys, I'm in one of the most dangerous places in the world. I'm talking to people and I start quoting sound bites to Ukrainian soldiers who don't know the sound bites. We were talking, I went, China! That's how used to this. I'm like, where are the guys? What the hell happened to JD? Why didn't he? Where's Cole? I feel like a psychopath. So yeah, he's looking not good. And so that's whenever you disappear and the recent image of you just don't look well, people are curious. And if something severe were to happen, I don't think we would delete this video, but just let me mark. Right now, Trump has posted that he's totally fine. Now, I don't believe that based on the photos I'm going to keep showing you. But if he actually had a severe medical event, then I would just, this was not recorded after that. Okay? So right now we think he's fine, which is why we're laughing. Trump aides address his mystery announcement after intense health scrutiny. That was the type of photo that you got, that one that you saw. And then he finally didn't put makeup on his hands so you could see what's actually going on. And there's just severe bruising on his hand. If you'll take that down, Jaden. I miss saying that. The potential, the potential explanations are age-related bruising, medication effects like blood thinners, circulatory issues, which we saw with his ankles, diabetes or metabolic factors, other medical conditions could explain that severe bruising. Now, somebody took the photo that I showed you before and, again, not the correct earpiece, just don't be bothered if it's hanging like that, and enhanced it with AI, and it turned it into this. So I just want to note, I don't think that's a correct enhancement of the image because like podcast listeners picture his face and then in between his eyebrows is just like a huge skin lump that's like sagging down onto his nose. And so people are posting that saying something's off. And I don't think that's actually what this turns into, but something is weird in between his eyebrows, but that could just be a photograph. Look at him there. That's not real. There's no way that's real. Come on. But these are definitely real, the bruising, as you saw. And before they said, the relevance of this story is that we should have transparency. Like MAGA screamed at Biden over, we should have transparency about the president's health, especially when they're of an advanced age. We love our advanced age brothers and sisters, of course, but if you're the president, we should have a lot of insight into your mental and physical health, since you're making such huge decisions, you have such an important job, and you were elected by us to do that job. And so the reason people keep going, what is the White House doing? There seems to be a lack of transparency explaining some of just the physical observations that people are having about Trump's health, and we can't diagnose it. That list I gave you is just speculation. That's important to say. I'm not a doctor. But as a non-doctor, I see that and I go, that's not how my hand looks. And the previous explanation was, oh, it's from all of his vigorous handshaking. Okay. Which would make sense until it shows up on his left hand, which you saw. So is he shaking with his left hand now? That would be weird. I don't think so. Here's more photos. Yeah, I mean, he looks bad. So then they come out and they say, we have at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. What is today? Tuesday, maybe. We have a big announcement Trump's going to make. And so then, of course, accounts are like, is he resigning? Which I'm all about not playing into for the sake of clicks. Narratives that have no evidence behind them. I see no evidence that he's about to announce his resignation. I think Trump would never, even if he got some insane diagnosis that would impede his ability to be president, he would not resign. But we then got an update from Caroline Leavitt. The president will be making an exciting announcement related to the Department of Defense. And then more details about that, which is Trump administration's planning to announce as early as Tuesday that it will relocate the U.S. Space Command headquarters from Colorado to Alabama. Why you need some big announcement on that, I don't know. Maybe that's what they're announcing, but that kind of caused a stir as we continue through this segment. If you appreciate this show, if you appreciate the fact that I got back to this studio somehow by some miracle, and went to do the reporting that we did that is so critical, so life or death, and so globally consequential, then please do click the subscribe button. And then you can become a member as well by clicking the join button. Now this comes, so once the story blew up and for days we didn't hear anything from Trump, and the only photos we got, he looks like his face is, something's off with his face, and his hand, and now it's his left hand. And the next part was, wait, why has he been talking about heaven so much recently? And I've shown those clips where he's like, I really hope I get into heaven. I don't know. I'm hearing that I'm on the naughty list. And the headlines like this: Trump fundraises off of desperate push to get into heaven. He sent out a fundraising email saying, friend, I want to try and get to heaven. $5 will help me do that. People's fundraising is wild. I get so, even when it makes total sense, I'm about to transition this into a plug. Even when it's totally reasonable, like I said about this trip, I said, we don't have corporate sponsors. Also recently, this story has been total, people have lied a ton about the whole social media influencer story, but it so happens that I was not one of the people in that thing. And again, I would defend, if you know what I'm talking about, defend the influencers at issue here. But I also happen not to have been a part of that. And the only way we fund the show is viewers and memberships, and then my own company, PEP. And so we set up, because people said, I'd love to support your staff and trips like what we just did to Ukraine, because that has to all be self-funded. It's not a corporate entity that will pay for it. We set up givebutter.com/TLBS, where you can just make a one-time contribution to fund the operations of this show, because that's literally the only way, is some version of viewership that we fund all that we're doing here. And I feel weird asking for that. I really do. Even when I say membership, which is a great deal, you get a whole extra show every day. This just sounds like a plug, but I'm explaining it to you. I still feel kind of awkward. I've never understood people who fundraise as shamelessly with that level of awkwardness. Or before, I've been like, donate to my mom's nonprofit. We're going to literally help to put children into loving families. And still I'm like, it feels weird asking for money. Even the best cause ever. But then these politicians send out and it's like, hey, do you like Jesus? Give me $100. Or the Paula White lady was like, hey, in the Bible, it says that you should give me $1,000. Or Trump, I want to get into heaven. Donate $10 to $20. I don't understand the shamelessness of that. Okay, so then Trump hadn't said anything on these rumors for a while, but he finally on social media posted about them, saying, in response to this post from DC Drano, let me read the post and then I'll read what Trump responded to it, supposedly on Truth Social. Joe Biden would go multiple days at a time without any public appearances, and the media would say he's sharp and on top of his game. Meanwhile, he was wearing diapers and napping. He wasn't wearing diapers. President Trump puts in more public work hours than any other POTUS in U.S. history, and media freaks out if he disappears for 24 hours. It was a lot longer than 24 hours. Comical double standard. And Trump responded to that saying, "Never felt better in my life. Also, DC is a crime-free zone. President DJT." So that was his proof of life post. Never felt better. Really? You must have felt really bad in the past. But can I just address, I'm so sick of this talking point. The media was not saying Biden was sharper than ever. We need to stop accepting that lie. There's plenty that you can say about what the media didn't do enough, and about what, more importantly, the Biden White House didn't do enough in terms of transparency. And obviously Biden should have decided earlier not to run, given what ended up happening. Hindsight 2020, retrospective, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. Levy those criticisms, sell the book, cool. But it's almost like when there's a truth to something, then the right goes, dang, the liberals are all agreeing with us on one pillar of our argument. So let's invent 6 more pillars that are completely made up. Like the media never would talk about Biden's aging or his age-related decline. So Biden wouldn't disappear for days. We would have videos of him. Now, I don't know if you can call this a proof of life, but we would have a proof of Biden there on the beach. This is when he would take days off. Trump just vanished, which is why it caused concern, and he's usually out front more often. Biden, we would be able to say, oh, he's not at the office, but he's moving. There, look, he's at the beach. So at least, right, if Trump were out on the beach, we'd be able to say, okay, he's there. I can see him. At least moving every minute, once a minute. No, look at his legs moving. He has good legs. Let's just be honest. Biden has good legs. And then now to the point about, you can take that down, the media never would ask Biden about this or whatever. You don't have to accept that. You can say they didn't do enough, or they didn't pressure Biden enough early, or whatever, but plenty of people were asking these questions over and over again.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the...
Listen, I told you, watch me. People say I'm not cognitively, but I'm cognitively. I was on the beach with Jill. It was a really nice day. Have you seen my legs? Damn.
Life, liberty, pursuit of...
I got to have it. I got the legs of a champ. Jill says the hottest part of my body is my legs. Aww. I haven't done that impression in a week or like 10 days.
Judgment of the press.
They express concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer to that question?
Because I'm the most qualified person in this country.
Did you hear that reporter? She said, people are saying you're too old. People are questioning your mental acuity. People are saying you look weird on the beach. People are saying that you're old. People are saying that you should be in a wheelchair. People are saying... She listed off like so many things right to his face. So stop with that. He was constantly being asked about this.
2/3 of Americans in exit polls say that they don't think you should run for re-election. What is your message to them, and how does that factor into your final decision about whether or not to run for re-election?
It doesn't.
What's your message to them? Yeah. To those 2/3 of Americans?
Watch me.
Yeah. Watch me. So it was always coming up. I just wanted to address that because DC Drano made that point, and but Trump says he's never felt better in his entire life. You also have, as an update that I saw, a judge said that Trump's use of the U.S. military in Los Angeles violated federal law. We knew that, but that's been confirmed. And MAGA is being strange as ever. I was wondering if when I got back there was going to be like another Sydney Sweeney story. And how quaint that would be. Like, imagine, honestly, this is not at all funny, but just seeing the truth of war, the utter tragedy of it. And then I would be sitting there pondering what it is that we talk about on a daily basis. And I was like, oh, I can't. You would think I would go, I never want to talk about a dumb culture war again. But it was weird in my heart. I more so felt like I can't wait to talk about dumb culture wars again. Because I don't think that it's difficult to handle the gravity, the emotion behind what I was just witnessing. And it's so much more fun to just be like, ha, MAGA says we hate hot women. Rah. There's a video of sorority girls dancing that MAGA says the liberals can't stand. Rah. One of the recent what are they doing? MAGA accounts were posting this saying Tim Walz is such a weirdo. And here's the video supposedly of Governor Tim Walz dancing. And I wish I could play this, but I think the song was... Here's the song. Okay, let me play it from the beginning. And I can't play it because of copyright, but I can sing it. Ready? Don't you wish your boyfriend was hot like me? Okay. And podcast listeners, he's smacking his butt and he's dancing and he's shaking his like breast area. Not breast, but chest area. That's obviously AI. If you have like a little bit of things going on between the ears, you go, that wasn't Tim Walz. And he has an F Trump shirt on. And people like Riley Moore were saying, wait, this is a congressman? Oh, good. A congressman was saying, if you were at the mall with your kids and this guy rolled down the escalator, you would call the cops and get him banned. To which a bunch of community notes said, this is clearly AI. The world they live in. I mean, AI is just going to destroy critical thinking. People already couldn't handle the level of information or the media that they were consuming before you could just generate somewhat convincing videos of politicians. Now they really aren't going to know what to believe, and they'll just believe what they want to the point where people were posting that video saying, oh, Tim Walz is such a freak. Something's wrong with Tim Walz, the original poster said. And the AOC saying the big, jumping bags or whatever of Sydney Sweeney are so like juicy like a fruit or whatever the AI video was. I can't remember the exact language. It's been a second, but it was like something of her saying something totally ridiculous that she didn't say. And it was obviously AI and her mouth was moving really weird. And then, what was it? Klobuchar, similar. Oh, why can't we want more ugly representation. Take away Sydney Sweeney. How do people not go, like you could just Google it's fact check Tim Walz dancing escalator, F Trump smacking his butt. And some weird things will come up, but you'll ultimately find the article saying that that's AI. But since I left, they haven't learned their lesson on that. Then we do have audio. I don't know when this was recorded, but Scott Jennings just posted it. And people are saying this is the first audio we're getting of Trump. And again, MAGAs will go, see, look, there he is. He's fine. But you hear his voice. He doesn't sound fine, per se.
I'm very disappointed in him. He and I always had a great relationship. I'm very disappointed. Thousands of people are dying. They're not Americans that are dying, but they're Russians and they're Ukrainians, and there's thousands, and it's a war that makes no sense, and it would have never started if I were president, and that's what bothers me even more, because the election was totally rigged, and it's a shame. We'll see what happens, but I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I can say that. And we'll be doing something to help people live. It's not a question of Ukraine. It's help people live.
Yeah. So he sounds like he's on Elephant's portion of NyQuil or something. Like he sounds really down. Now, we're going to have plenty of time now that I just had the experience that I did to scream at Trump over his ridiculous rhetoric around Ukraine, but I'll tell you, I asked a bunch of soldiers, would it have never happened if Trump had been president? And they're like, dude, this started in 2014. The full-scale invasion, sure, happened in 2022. But this conflict, 2014 or before, this conflict has been in the works. And one explained to me, and again, I'll show you this footage eventually, once we can translate and everything. But what I was getting was, there are specific actions we were watching them take that were building up to 2022 all through part of Obama's presidency, Trump's presidency, and then it just culminated in 2022. But there was a laughter I would get when I would pose that statement from Trump. And I played some clips for soldiers, which felt kind of weird to be like, hey, look at Trump. But I did. And I played the clips. And I said, what do you think? And bullshit was one of the quotes from from one of the soldiers about Trump's rhetoric surrounding this. And I mean, speaking of this trip, I'll probably go through more clips of this later, but I went on a Ukrainian TV channel at the tail end of the trip. And I just had to say, and I think hearing that clip of Trump is a reminder of this, sorry. As an American, I'm sorry to Ukrainians and just to the world. And I hate to have to apologize for my president. Technically, I always feel weird when I say it. It sounds like I'm saying, that's my president. Chewy, Trump, guns, boobs. But he is, right? Technically. And so I wanted to say I'm sorry because I would have so many people on the front lines in Kyiv, all over in the airport, who are like, oh, you're American and you're going to Ukraine or you're in Ukraine. What is that about? Hey, you're American. Explain Trump. And I'd be like, I can't. I don't know.
So do you think that actually helped?
Yeah, well, first let me say to your viewers, to anyone who is understanding the importance of supporting Ukraine and to Ukrainians, I personally, as an American, am really sorry for the behavior of our president. It has made me so infuriated, understanding the power and the consequences of his actions, that his bizarre childlike admiration of Putin caused the first Oval Office meeting. Mm-hmm. And there's a complete detachment for a lot of Americans from the values that I hold really dear. But I do want you to know, a lot of America, I would say the majority of Americans, were horrified by that first Oval Office meeting, and we see the faults, and we're going to punish Trump electorally, hopefully come the midterm elections. But
that's what I kept saying to people. I was like, we got to fix it. Because you know what would happen is so many Ukrainians would say, I love America. Soldiers would tell me, I'm fighting for what America stands for or stood for. And so much of what we see as Ukraine, what Ukraine can stand for, what Ukraine can be, is inspired in part by America. And to hear that and feel my stomach drop, to know that we're failing, I think is the word my brain was looking for, faltering on so many of those principles that make freedom-loving people love us, is so scary. And so to kind of go, well, don't give up on us yet. My hope, the optimistic point of view, is we're going to be horrified enough by what Trump's doing to punish him in the midterms, and then ultimately in future presidential elections, whoever his successor might be. And I just thought that this could be something to cheer you up after that aggravating clip, which is Eric Trump in a sumo fight with a sumo wrestler. This is not AI. This is real. That sounds like I'm being silly. This is actually a video of Eric Trump with a sumo wrestler. And I just thought that you would like to see it. Podcast listeners, he's not doing great. He gets picked up. So here's what I think. We are the sumo wrestler, right? Freedom-loving, democracy-loving, liberty-loving people are the sumo wrestler. Eric Trump is Trump and Trumpism. This is what we need to do. We need to pick it up, boom, and throw it out of the circle of America. Okay? That's my message. One other thing, I, again, am in this weird headspace right now where I'm like so happy to be back, and just everything, the flowers smell better, the burgers. Stop it. Right when I got back, I ate a record-breaking meal of my favorite burger place here, P. Terry's. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do tout them a lot. And then today I got breakfast tacos, obviously, in Texas, have to, for breakfast. And so the food tastes, it's like everything, I'm just so happy to be safe again. And it's, you know how it is. In a situation like that, you go home, you're like, oh, okay, I'm home. And I'm almost excited to debunk lies. Like I told you before, I'm kind of like, oh, what's the latest MAGA culture war? It sounds fun, so quaint now to talk about that. Same thing with Scott Bessent lying about tariffs. It's like, yes, give me. It's so much more fun than what was happening where I was. And so Scott, what's up?
They will say that the tariffs are a hidden tax on the consumers here in the country. But give us the reality.
If they're so bad, and the American consumers paying them, why do we hear the European companies or the Chinese companies or the Chinese complaining about tariff if it's all being borne by the American people? It's just not happening.
Is that awesome? I mean, we're so back. We're so back. I'm trying to think, like, is there a funny Beef Wellington joke I can make again? Like, Scott Bessent lives in a really pink house. He does. He lives in a pink house because he's Scott mother-loving Bessent. And he's a smart guy, and he knows what he's saying is not true, but he's saying it. And that used to make me so mad. Now it's making me mad again. Dang it. I only got like 24 hours of the euphoric feeling. But a part of me is like, yay, this is so much more fun to deal with than the other stuff. Oh, that's his house. That's Scott Bessent's house. It's a pink mansion. Okay, so it's awesome. But they don't, that he's insulting whoever is believing him's intelligence. Think about this. If I let me say, try and think what would be a good analogy. This is not the best one, but like if I'm punching, you know how people, this is good. You know how people break their hand when they punch people sometimes? And like if you haven't punched someone in a while, you would probably break your hand. If you're not getting into huge fights like I do all the time, you don't got a good knuckle. But my brother used to get me to punch walls, not waltz like Tim Walz, walls, to strengthen my knuckles. And then, hey, guess what? I never used that skill ever. He's like, well, what if you have to punch someone's face? You don't want your wrist to break. And then I never used my strong wrist for anything because I don't never need to fight people. When people go, what, we got a problem? I'm like, no, we don't, you win. And then it's over. No, you're awesome, you would destroy me. It's over. Like imagine, look at this nose. Do we want to get this nose broken? No, we don't. Why would I fight over a seat? Nah. But anyways, he would get me to punch walls and he still does that and has the strongest. It's a really disturbing how strong his knuckle is. But if you're not him or me at one point, if you're me now and I were to punch Jaden, you suck, boom, and I punch him, there's a chance I could break my hand. If I punched him and every time I punched him, I would break my wrist or something or my hand, a finger, that would be really bad for me. That would hurt, right? I just did something bad for myself. It hurt him too. But just because it hurt him doesn't mean it didn't hurt me. That's the logic there. He's saying, how could that random punch you did have been bad for you, Luke, if Jaden's in pain? Well, what if Jaden's in pain, but I'm also in pain? So it was bad for both of us. And so it was a bad decision for me to do it in the first place. That's the reality here, which is that they slapped these insane tariffs, which hurts America, and in the process hurts other countries. We, correct, are the one. He goes, if American consumers are the ones paying. Wait, what was my Bessent impression? If American, that's more Mitch McConnell. I'll find it. If American consumers are paying the tariffs, then how could it be that other countries are upset? Well, because we're paying the tariffs, thus the trade is being disincentivized, so then other countries are annoyed that buying from them is being disincentivized, even if through that process we still have to pay a lot higher prices, and certain countries lose out on business because of the disincentivization of, you know the word, I like that now because I am so sleep deprived, I have a good excuse just to give up on words. They also, whatever my sentence was, they are mad and we're mad. So we can both be mad and we're both losing. Doesn't mean that we're winning because they're losing. Okay. It is really good to be back. Thank you all so much for still being here. I always get anxious when I don't record or upload really consistently that you all leave me. Don't leave me. I have detachment problems. Don't leave me. And we have a lot more coming. in the coming days.